Reading new books, the importance of reading new books. We have discussed the importance of reading familiar books. Reading new books brings your child to sort of an instructional level, and often it's the instructional level that we really practice in school. But what an instructional level is good for, even at home, is it gives your child the opportunity and the chances to practice those strategies with you. So if you remember the previous video, the strategies, does that make sense? You know, how do we sound that word out? All of those really that reading work that you want your child to be able to do. So these instructional books are good for practicing strategies. And again, the more text, the new text, is exposing them to new high frequency words and building that bank. And as everything else as you move on with the levels, everything becomes to be an independent level, and you just begin to build a bigger and bigger bank of those high frequency words. To be reading at an instructional level, your child should be reading at about 80 to 95% accuracy, but what's even more important than that is that there should be at least an 80% comprehension level. So that's when, if they're comprehending the story, chances are going to stop for errors that don't make sense. They'll also be able to let you know what the book was about. So when you come to books more like Blackberries, which is telling a story about a bear family, those are the books that they'll be able to retell to you. These ones are a little trickier to retell because they're just sort of stating facts. But comprehension level means that they're going to be able to let you know what they just read, or they could maybe answer questions that you might have for them. So it's important to remember that an instructional level doesn't mean they can read and decode each word and they can say it to you, but it also means, do they understand what they just read? Can they tell it back to you? You'll know that a book becomes too hard. It's at a frustrational level when it's very easy to spot. There are many stops. The child makes many stops, and often just in the first page. They kind of have an unnatural voice that you don't really hear with their reading very often, and they certainly don't have a lot of comprehension. They're finding it difficult to use the strategies. And if this is the case, if you do come across a frustrational book, there's less than 80% accuracy, much less than 80% comprehension, little to no comprehension. It's okay to say, this is the wrong book, we'll come back to that, let's read this one, I meant to give you this one, or we'll come back to this another day, it's the wrong book right now.